classes for just $30. Visit F45training.com to find a studio near you and officially join the F45 family. F45, team training, life-changing.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3, May the 22nd, 2025. Happy to have you aboard with Colin Russo and Christian Cat. No Mike Rizzo today, out on sabbatical. But we got the next. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to yell at Mike?
No, I'm saying this time he's using the day off. He's a smart man.
This time he is using the day off when he tried to schedule a travel day before the show yesterday, and he showed up at 4:43. Not a good spot there. But nonetheless, we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. And we're also on your radio dial at ESPN 106.3. We got a packed program ahead. We're going to hear from the former Jets GM himself, the ESPN NFL insider Mike Tannenbaum, a little later on in the program, probably around the 5 o'clock hour. So stick around for that. Got a lot to talk about. And also, the college football playoff seedings have changed officially. It is not going to be the top 4 conference champions. It is going to be the top 4, period. The top 4 in the college football playoff ranking will be the 4 that get the bye and the 4 that be the top 4 seeds. It will not have anything to do with the conference championships and whether you win one or not. The right move, the college football playoff made the right decision here, and I give them credit because it's going to be in place this fall. You got Christian Cat behind the glass. You got Colin Russo here. And also you had the Knicks choking in dramatic fashion. A 14-point lead with about 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. That is a 99.7% win probability. As bad of a loss as you could find for the New York Knicks to the Indiana Pacers in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals last night. And a terrible, terrible, disgusting loss if you're the Knicks. It's got to be the worst feeling in the world. But the one thing I'll say is that was the more of the Pacers taking it comparatively to the Knicks throwing it away, despite the Knicks having a couple bad turnovers, a couple missed free throws, a couple missed shots. That was more about the Pacers. Aaron Nesmith, 5 threes, 20 points in the last 5 minutes, and Tyrese Halliburton heroics more so than it was the Knicks. Let's start with the seeding really quick, Christian. I want to get your thoughts on a couple things because we've talked about this a little bit on Theoretically Speaking. But now with the college football playoff aiming on the side of 1 through 12 straight up, and top 4 will be at the discretion of the committee. Do you think we're going to see more or less conference bias due to this? There's no hand tie. There's no handcuff to, all right, well, a Big 12 team has to get it. An ACC team has to get it. In this case, the Mountain West team has to get it like it was Boise State. Is there going to be now all of a sudden you're going to see 3 SEC, 1 Big Ten, 3 Big Ten, 1 SEC? You're never going to see an ACC school basically sniff this opportunity for the foreseeable future?
We are kind of on other sides of this because you were waving the flag for some of the ACC teams last year, some of the teams that we were kind of making fun of. Why are they floating this high in the rankings? I don't think we're going to see more conference biases. We're going to see more complaining of conference biases. That's what I think is going to happen because it's going to be a whole lot more uncomfortable to see 4 SEC teams with a chance to have a bye when you go into rivalry weekend. That's what I think is going to be uncomfortable for the masses. So
you're under the impression that, yes, if they are going to be biased, it's going to be for good reason because the bigger conferences are that much better. And we're just going to have to come to grips with the fact, but the common fan is not going to come to grips with the fact, and we're just going to see more and more of this complaining.
Yeah, the second and third best teams in the Big Ten and the SEC are going to be better teams and deserve to be ranked higher and seeded higher than the best team in maybe the ACC Big 12.
The one thing I'll say is, though, if a Miami team is 11-1 or a Clemson team is 11-1 and there's a Penn State team that might not have the hardest schedule in the world, and I don't believe they do next year, and then they're 11-1 too, that favoritism is going to piss a lot of people off because now what it was, all right, you win your conference championship, you control your own destiny.
That's right. You're not waiting for anyone's assessment of your season. You control it.
Your destiny. You just hand it over. If you're the schools, you hand it over power back to the committee in a way. Now, I think it was the right move because fundamentally, schematically, just in the actual process, it was wrong.
In an ideal world, it'd be good. But college football in its current state is anything but ideal in terms of separation of power.
You're giving more power back to the committee. We just stripped the power, and everybody thought that was a good thing, and then all of a sudden there was one problem, and we're back to giving them every piece in the book to make whatever they want to do work. Now, you got to think big picture here. This was a no-brainer, but if and when we're back talking about how the Big 12 school that goes 11-1 versus the Big 10 school, and then we're going to be talking strength of schedule, we're going to be talking resume, we're going to be talking what team has to try in the championship game versus which doesn't. This team was undefeated in the regular season, this team wasn't. This team won their conference championship, but this team didn't, and this team lost to a better team. We're going to be having these conversations. I guess that's a part of sports, but now that there's the committee back, this is what you're going to deal with.
Yeah, I think that the conversation should shift to who is on this committee and how many people are on this committee, and we know the answers to all of those questions. But that is how you fix it. I don't know if the system has too much fixing to be had, but I think that who has the keys to these playoff spots, that is something we definitely could fix.
Steps in the right direction. And it was officially announced that the college football playoff format in 2026 is TBD. So to be determined. Nobody knows what it's going to be. My guess, if I had to guess tomorrow, for a year and a half from now, what that format's going to be, I'm going to guess 16. I'm going to guess 4 buys. I don't even know if they can make that work mathematically, but maybe 2 buys, 4 buys, whatever it may be. And they're going to have them, or maybe they have 16, they play straight up. Maybe that will be the best thing for everybody. No buys. 16, because it's an even bracket if you do 16. Right. 12 is you have to get rid of 4 if you're going to do a 12 team because you got to turn it down to 8.
I guess. And then it's what's the price to pay to play in a conference championship game to not have that bye week?
Then then you kill the conference championship game if you were to move to 16 and get rid of the bye.
It's not an easy answer to get to. I know there are a lot of people that have their biases and have their own considerations to take care of themselves in college football and might make decisions and make changes to help themselves, but it's also not very easy black and white here.
No, it's not. And I wonder if there's stipulations you could add, maybe a guaranteed home game, maybe more money, whatever it might be, whether you win the college football or your conference tournament championship or not. But I think that's my bottom line. Yes, I want to see good games. And a lot of times college football, I think we sell ourselves on the idea that good games are possible when really there's 2 or 3 teams that are really in the running. And there's a bunch of teams that are sort of playing catch-up duty and chasing. But if you want to make that interesting, you want good matchups consistently, and you want fair matchups. You don't want Ohio State and Tennessee in that first round, then winner gets to play Oregon. And on the other side, you got SMU, Penn State, and the winner gets to play Boise State. You don't want that. But to the same token, you want to make the regular season feel big and make it not too easy to get in. Because Georgia all of a sudden is 10-0, 11-0. They could rest for 2 weeks and still get in, if that's what they care about. They could rest for 2 weeks. Boom. Get in.
And to be fair, regarding the only data point, the only sample size we have with the 12-team playoff, Arizona State gave Texas a great game, a fantastic game, and they were a 4th and whatever away from winning that game. And then it kind of makes sense. It's like, okay, I guess if a quarter of the underdogs, sizable underdogs, win their games in this playoff, it kind of works out.
And the one thing you add is Ohio State killed Notre Dame. After that first drive, they killed Notre Dame. You know, they beat up on Oregon, too. There was a team that was head and shoulders above the rest. We're going to talk about the competitiveness. It's more about parity than it is about the actual structure. But right move forward, 888-760-3776, number to get into the program. College football playoff, not expanded, but settled down their seedings 1 through 12 straight up. No more automatic buys for the conference championships. Right move, wrong move. Where does it go from here? Is it going to go to 16? Are we going to still see that SEC Big Ten bias? 888-760-3776. Let us know. Notre Dame's always the odd man out because they're not in conference, so you're always going to see them, slither in at the 3 or 4 or 5 seed. But Notre Dame proved to you something by them having a very good postseason and winning actually a couple games. Them beating Georgia showed you something. Them beating Penn State in dramatic fashion showed you something. So off of that, I'm the biggest Notre Dame hater there is. But from that perspective, the fact that they had a good year this year and they're trending upward, maybe they took another step as a major program, all right, if they don't play a conference championship game and, Georgia sits out of theirs, can I really blame Notre Dame for it?
And an important qualifier to mention that, yes, it is just the rankings, and the only qualifier is if you are one of the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, you get a guaranteed spot in the 12-team field. So, yes, you are still invited to the party. You just don't have premium seating if you are the best Power 5 conference or one of the Power 4 conferences.
Yeah. It's a tricky spot here. I'm not sure what the best right move is, but you knew that the current right move was to get those teams involved and give them a fair chance at getting that bye. Because the Boise States of the world, in no world did that team deserve a bye. In no world did that team have to avoid playing a road game in the first round. That is what fundamentally was the issue, because now you had the number 1 overall seed, Oregon, get killed and put in a terrible spot. And then you had the Boise States of the world and the Penn State, who lost to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, get favored because of that situation. You had to fix that. That was the bottom line. Now you got to hope that there's not these trickle-down effects that is going to continue to sting college football on its side. Because until they figure out NIL, there's always going to be issues with the sport. Until they figure out how to manage parity, payment of players, transfer portal, coaches leaving, until they figure that out, everything else is going to be secondary to me, because I think fundamentally there's bigger issues than what the format of the actual tournament is.
Yeah, I always appreciate flexibility and mobility in new things, in new leagues, in new formats, and for them to just see one sample size and realize, okay, we can simply make this change and it's for the greater good. I appreciate that out of college football. Like we saw, even just in our backyard with TGL, when they realized there was a problem with the rules in the middle of the first season, they simply changed the rules because it made the products better. It made the competition make more sense. And you're seeing it in live golf. Things change year after year after year. In new things, you got to be willing to be flexible, and you got to be willing to adapt to the actual realities of the situation.
Yeah, the funny part is they're super flexible when it comes to changing up this tournament, changing up the actual amount of teams that could get in, who can get in where they can play. They could play at this time, they could play at that time. But the one thing that they're not flexible about is the actual foundation of the NIL. Right when the money gets involved, that's where they're not flexible. That's where they won't change things. Maybe because they have no power, but that's where they draw the line. That's where we can't change that. We can't make a 2-year guarantee spot if you transfer. We can't make you sit a year. We can't do that. Because the NCAA and the College Football Committee have major power dynamic issues that need to be fixed. That's Christian Katz, Colin Russo, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3, 888-760-3776. The reseeding in the college football playoff, no brainer. What's the next best step for how the college football playoff should organize it? Should they do it 1 through 16 and expand it, get rid of the bye week altogether? Or are they perfect where they are? Let us know. 888-760-3776. We take a time out here going to a little Knicks Pacers, a little NBA postseason on the flip side of things. Stick around for it. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll, safety's the goal.
May is National Burger Month, so grab your MVP card and head to Duffy's Sports Grill for a big Burger Blitz celebration. Enjoy Duffy's award-winning half-pound certified Angus beef original cheeseburger and french fries, starting at just $8.99 with the purchase of any beverage. Plus, don't forget about Duffy's famous 2-for-1 drinks, all day, every day. Visit Duffy'sMVP.com to learn more, and remember, at Duffy's, our game is always on.
Welcome into the Kaiser Sports Update. I'm Cade Chumsland. To the victor goes the spoils, and to the spoilers goes the victory. The Kaiser University men's tennis team shocked the world on Saturday by winning the NAIA National Championship over the Georgia Gwinnett Grizzlies 4-2. Coming into the match, the Grizzlies had won the previous, are you ready for this? 10 consecutive national championships. Truly a sports dynasty. In the last 4, they had beaten the Kaiser Seahawks in the final match. But not this time. Down 1-0 after doubles, the Seahawks rallied in singles, winning the first 3 matches, and then Yasir Kalani came back from down 3-0 in the third set to win the clinching point for the Seahawks. Kalani was named the outstanding player, and head coach Robert McAdoo was named the NAIA Coach of the Year. It is the first red banner for the men's tennis team in program history. For more Kaiser Athletics scores and updates, head to KUSeahawks.com.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
You ever think about how lucky we are as sports fans? We've got big games, big opinions, and most importantly, unsportsmanlike on ESPN 106.3. Where else can you get all of this brilliance and football talk in one place? You're welcome, South Florida. Talk to you in the morning.
The Club at Lost Lake, a championship Fazio design golf course in Hope Sound. Golf and social memberships are now available with no waiting list and immediate access. The course and club will see over $10 million in capital improvements and is one of the best private club values in the area. Experience the beauty and challenge of this renowned course for yourself. Enjoy year-round access to exclusive amenities and events. Elevate your game, elevate your experience. Discover the Club at Lost Lake. Visit clublostlake.com to schedule a visit today.
This is ESPN 106.3, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Find official rules for all your favorite ESPN West Palm contests by visiting ESPNWestPalmContests.com. That's ESPNWestPalmContests.com. You're listening to ESPN 106.3, the ESPN app, and streaming on your smart speaker.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike. Tonight, the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Final continues with Game 2. It's the Panthers and the Hurricanes. Coverage begins at 7:30 here on your home for the Stanley Cup playoffs, ESPN 106.3.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Been a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall. My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. They're here to fight for you. I know with Anajar and Levine, they got my back no matter what, and they don't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Don't settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine today, because that's the Anajar and Levine difference. All it takes is one phone call. Take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation today. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. Colin Russo, Christian Cat with you on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter /X at ESPN West Palm. One of the great collapses I think I've ever seen in a single game, postseason game environment. In what I saw last night in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. For those who don't know, in terms of the statistics side of things, teams are now 4 and 1,649 in games where they lead or a team leads by 7+ in the last minute of the fourth quarter or overtime in a postseason NBA game. 4 and 1,649 if you're down to 7+. 3 of those wins have been by the Indiana Pacers this postseason in each of the 3 rounds against 3 different teams. That's 4 of 1,600. 4 wins, 3 of them Pacers. NBA teams were 0 and 970 when down by 14 or more points in the final 250 of regulation in the playoffs over the last 27 postseasons. Now, 1 and 970. 1 and 970. The Knicks were a 1 in 1,000 chance at blowing this game. And they did. A upset and a collapse of ridiculous levels. And it almost reminded you of that 1995 game and for game 1 when they blew the 105-99 and Reggie Miller had the comeback in the 18 seconds. And he had the choking signal. And that game wasn't even as crazy as this one. And it was also at MSG and the whole thing. That is as bad of a loss for the New York Knicks. It was pathetic. And I can't even blame the Knicks too much because it was a mixture of heroics and collapsing. Because when the Bucks lost to the Pacers in this aspect and they lost by 7+ in Game 5 of their series, the Bucks just threw it away. That was Gary Trent Jr., 3 straight turnovers, god-awful, the whole thing. The Cavaliers, sort of the same boat. Missing a free throw, a terrible Max Strus turnover, and they run back into the game. The Knicks they scored 4 points in overtime, or in the last minute of the regulation. They were scoring. The Pacers were just scoring more. The Pacers were just 5 threes from Aaron Nesmith to close out that game, 20 points in the last 5 minutes. Game of his life. It reminds me of some of the great collapses that you've seen in a single game environment in sports history, at least in recent memory. And there's a couple you could think of in basketball. The one that popped to mind is when Northern Iowa in the 2016 NCAA tournament, if you remember this game, I believe it was against Texas A&M.
Yeah.
When they were winning, it was 12 points with 45 seconds to go in the second round of the NCAA tournament to go to the Sweet 16. And they came back and won it. Down 12 with 45 seconds. That's what that reminded me of.
I likened the end of Pacers-Knicks Game 1 last night to a college football game. Not a college basketball game, but a college football game with the amount of turnovers, especially in overtime. This was not a clean final 5 minutes of the game in general, where the Pacers were turning over the ball a lot in that overtime period as well. But turnovers and scoring so much in the final 7 minutes of that game, the final 2 minutes of regulation, and the 5 minutes of overtime. So many baskets, so many turnovers.
So much back and forth.
It was ugly. It was crazy. And we haven't even talked about the non-goaltending turning into a 3-pointer for the Pacers.
Right.
If you're a Knicks fan, yes, you feel like the victim in this because of just
that specific call.
Like, just unlucky. I mean, Naismith going 8 for 9 from 3, hitting 5 of those in the final 2 minutes.
And then that was Nemhard who hit that corner 3 right after that goaltend to take the lead there.
But you have a right to be angry with the goaltend because it was a goaltend.
Now, another thing I'll say is that the refs completely missed a blatant foul when it was 138. It was the last play of the game. Obi Toppin had a dunk, and he was clearly fouled by Mikal Bridges, and they did not call it. It would have made it a 4-point game with 6 seconds to go. And I think that was a missed call on the other end. But you're right, that goaltend was a game-changing play. The way I look at it, though, is Brunson had a couple costly turnovers. He had a terrible 2 shots to fit. Karl-Anthony Towns and Brunson both got decent looks at 3 to tie it up at the end, and they couldn't hit it. Would I be pissed off about the goaltend? Yeah. Did I deserve to win that game because of that? No. They did not deserve to win that game.
I think they played well enough to win that game.
Well enough to win that game. The Pacers deserve that win more.
Sure.
That's totally the heroics. I've never seen anything like it.
Twice in a lifetime, right? If you're old enough to watch Reggie Miller against the Knicks in, was it 95 or whatever?
95.
It's a twice in a lifetime occurrence, or maybe a 4 times in a postseason occurrence for the Pacers.
It's becoming regularly scheduled programming for them, which is the craziest part. Does this remind you of all of, what was it, Spieth was that 2016 he collapsed at the Masters?
I think it was earlier than that. But it reminds me of a couple of things, and follow me here. I'm thinking of Game 162, Rays versus Yankees, and Orioles versus Red Sox, where the Orioles were trailing by 1 in the bottom of the 9th inning, They come back, they win. That's fine. That game didn't mean much to the Orioles whatsoever. They won that for bleeps and giggles. But the Rays needed to win their game, and they needed the Red Sox to lose their game in order to make the playoffs on game 162 of the regular season in Major League Baseball in 2011. And the Rays were playing the Yankees. The Yankees are already clinched everything in the playoffs. This game is just for fun for them. It means the world to the Rays. The Rays trailed the Yankees 7-0 entering the 6th inning and ended up winning up that game on a line drive left field, just sneaking over the wall, walk-off home run by Evan Longoria in that game. That kind of made me think of that, where so many things had to go right for the team that ended up benefiting, whereas it happened in one game for Pacers and Knicks. It had to happen in 2 games for the Rays and Red Sox. The Rays making the playoffs because of their miraculous come-from-behind win, and the Red Sox not making the playoffs because of their blown save in the bottom of the 9th inning where the Orioles beat them on a walk-off.
Another one where it comes to mind is Game 3 of the wild card series between the Mets and the Brewers, when it was 2-0 in the bottom of the 9th with, I believe it was 2 outs, and they had Pete Alonso up with 2 men on, and he hits a 3-run shot to take the lead.
Where he came up short time and time again in those spots. Which
pending free agent,
where he was meeting the ire of every miserable Mets fan. He was numero uno in terms of who to blame, and he comes up with that skyrocketing shot out in right center field.
What does that Knick game make you think of in terms of all-time playoff big game collapses? 888-760-3776, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Does it remind you at all of the Packers in the NFC Championship game? What is his name? Brandon Rodgers? Richard Rodgers? No. Brandon Bostic? Something like that?
It was Richard Rodgers. It was Rodgers to Rodgers.
When it was, 19-7 with like 3 minutes to go against the Seattle Seahawks for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And the Packers have been vying for a Super Bowl, and they came so close time and time again. And that was the heroics year by Russell Wilson on that 2-point conversion. Oh, my God. That was Jermaine Kearse. Oh, that was as bad as it gets. That was as bad as it gets. When the Packers had them dead to rights, and they blew that game as well.
It's interesting because, I agree with you with how the Pacers went and grabbed this game.
They stole
Naismith being unconscious from 3.
They took it.
It was more than just sloppy play from the Knicks, even though it did have something to do with it. But all these miraculous come-from-behind wins feels like there's a lot of the team blowing it more so than the team miraculously clawing back into it, because what came to mind for me was the miracle at the Meadowlands 2. 31-10, Eagles trailing the Giants at the Giants with 8.5 minutes to go.
Right.
The game's all tied up when Matt Dodge, Giants punter, just has to punt it out of bounds. That's the only direction that Tom Coughlin had for Matt Dodge, who screwed up a couple of times in the season already, whether it's dropping punts or dropping snaps on punts, shanking them, maybe hitting them into his own offensive lineman. He was in a bad year already, and this was the straw that snapped the camel in half, didn't just break the camel's back, where Deshaun Watson returns the punt for a walk-off touchdown in the Giants building.
It's weird because with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go, if it's going to be 119-105 with 2 minutes and 45 seconds and you're going to score 20 points in those 2 minutes and 50 seconds, is that all the Knicks? I mean, geez. You look at some of the shots that Aaron Nesmith was hitting.
Oh, and they started off ridiculous.
It was double clutching, pump fake, trying to get out of the way of the defense. He had Josh Hart all over him. It was the hottest hand I think I've ever seen in the postseason for a 3-minute period. The hottest hand I don't think I've ever seen. A player, Tracy McGrady is the only example when he scored 13 and 35. This is the only example. I don't know if we have seen as hot of a hand in as late of a game, in as big of a spot as Aaron Nesmith last night for the Indiana Pacers.
What was your immediate reaction, when you're sitting on the couch watching this game, or were you by yourself? And
I was by myself, and when I'll say when Halliburton, because the thing is it's this slow and gradual belief that, are they going to do this? Are they going? Because everybody's in the same boat. This game is over. I'm looking forward to turning this off. I am hoping that this game ends quickly and these 2 minutes take forever because timeout. They keep hitting threes. I don't think it was until it was, I believe the number was 119-111 with about a minute something to go. 119-111 with a minute and change. That was when I started ears perking up. Hold on, are they going to do this? Hold on, do they have a chance here? Because I started thinking of the stat. The stat, we've talked about the stat a number of times in the show. It was 3 and 1,649 coming into the game, and now it's 4 and 1,649. And teams that are trailing by 7+ with a minute to go. And I literally thought about that when they were down 8 with a minute 20. I'm like, they could do this. They've done this before. That was when my ears started to perk up. But at 119, 105, not a chance. Even at 119, 108, I didn't necessarily buy it. I didn't. And then all of a sudden, when it was Karl Anthony Towns with 40 seconds to go, hit a layup to make it an 8-point game. 125, 115 with 40 seconds to go. What are you supposed to think? What does the average fan think in that situation? You think that this game is over, and it's all but a formality. They might make a 3, but then they're going to foul, and it's going to be the foul game for the whole way. It was not that. It was not that. They immediately hit a 3 with Nesmith. It's a 5-point game. Then all of a sudden, he bad pass. They got a steal. That was a terrible Brunson play. Then all of a sudden, the pass, that was an OT, but the pass off Brunson to finish off the game. Like, there was a ton of Knicks turnovers, but the highlight to me was Aaron Nesmith. The highlight to me was Tyrese Halliburton. As clutch of a 2-player performance as you could possibly find. And the problem, here's why I get nervous about the Knicks. Because the Knicks just blew that game. They scored 135 points, which is a lot for the Knicks. And the Knicks, as a team, shot 51%. That's good for the Knicks. The Knicks don't usually get that consistent production from everybody. They got 16 from Anunoby, and they got 16 from Mikal Bridges, and they got both 35+, 43 and 35 from Towns and Brunson. You do not get that every game. They almost wasted a good offensive game for the Knicks. So look at the Celtics. They won because the Celtics blew it. Yes, they were great in the last couple minutes there to steal it, down 20 in the second half, but the Celtics couldn't hit a shot. They couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. That's why the Knicks rumbled back. It wasn't until they started playing better at home, even at TD Garden, that they started, putting things together offensively. That was a game last night that the Knicks needed to win because they were working offensively.
Yeah, I got converted last night in terms of what I want to see happen to the remainder of these NBA playoffs.
Were you Knicks?
Yeah, like New York.
Show me the magic. Yeah, show me the magic versus the inevitable. That's the David versus Goliath. It's like the wizard versus the giant.
Like, okay, we got to see what happens when you mix fire and gasoline.
Right.
And hey, I went on the airwaves yesterday and I said, I think we're going to have some magic here. Because I had two teams flair for the dramatic. Knicks come from behind wins against the Celtics. Pacers come from behind wins. We talked about it all postseason long. And we got it in game one. And it gets me so optimistic about the rest of this season, the series, because I doubt that is going to be the only game that goes down to the wire.
And we're not throwing enough crap at OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns for missing free throws to finish off the game. Everybody's to blame there. That's the funny part. Everyone's to blame. Jalen Brunson had 3 crucial turnovers. Terrible missed 3. And he was still clutch at the end of the game for the most part. Karl Anthony Towns had a layup in the last minute, but he missed those free throws to get them back in the game. OG Anunoby misses the first of 2 to keep it at a 4-point game and kept it at a 2-point game. And then a 3-point game, and then he did it again to make it a 2-point game. You can't have that. You can't do that. You can't do that. The reason I thought the Knicks were going to win this game is because the Pacers started out, and they went like 9 for 9 from the field to open up the game. They scored 22 points in about 5 minutes to open up this game. And the Knicks kept pace. And the Knicks didn't necessarily flinch. Then when the Pacers inevitably went a little colder, the Knicks kept capitalizing.
Felt like New York's night.
It felt like New York's night, and they wasted it.
The Mets won. They didn't get swept by the Red Sox. The Yankees won on a walk-off home run.
A great comeback against the Rangers. That's right. New York had a big night, and all those phony fans spending $1,000 to get into that building. All the celebrities in the front row who weren't with the Knicks when they had Clay Anthony early and Ron Baker, but now they're with the team. Those fans spending $1,000 in there to watch one of the great losses it's not the biggest loss in franchise history, so let's keep that straight. But one of the biggest losses in Knicks franchise history. As bad as it gets.
Are you taking shots at your guy, Timothy Chalamet, who was on court?
Not my guy. I wasn't invited to that. I would like Chalamet to be my guy. I would totally have a different tune had I met Chalamet, but I didn't meet Chalamet. So
Chalamet had his chance to be your guy.
The one thing about Chalamet is there's a picture out there of him tracking down Landry Fields in Grand Central Station to win Knicks tickets when he was like 10 years old. If you do that,
that gets his fan card.
Yeah.
For life.
I could live with that. I could live with him. And he's calling for a technical when Halliburton kept the refs' attention when they were trying to get time for a review on that final play when it was 138-135. And I think it was Nemhard who had the tip, and it went off of Brunson to finish off the game, give them the ball. And Tyrese Halliburton got in the way of the ref to delay the game to give them time to review and determine whether they wanted to send a challenge or not. And Timothée Chalamet was there courtside going to the ref's face saying, tee him up, tee him up. That guy's a real fan. I'll give him that. But all the other phony celebrities, most of them were not there in the thick of it. Fairweather fans. New York has Fairweather fans to begin with, but Fairweather fans, and they're sitting there, and when I had my dad on Theoretically Speaking, he's right. They acted like they won the Super Bowl when they beat Boston, and they didn't even think about Indiana. Nobody has thought about Indiana. Cleveland didn't think about Indiana. Mike Rizzo was guilty of thinking about Boston right before he played Indiana, after Indiana beat the Bucks in 5. This is a team, they started 9-14. They started 9-14. So that means they were, what is that? They won 50 games, so they were 41-18, 41-19 to finish off the regular season, and then they're now 9-2 in the postseason. That's pretty good. That's 50-27, 50-26. That's pretty good. That is good enough for the second seed in the Eastern Conference if they didn't have that bad start. Indiana, start learning them, because it shouldn't take 3 miraculous comebacks to start waking up to what they can do and how dangerous they are. Christian Cat, Colin Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. We got Mike Tannenbaum coming up in just about 20 minutes. We'll take a time out here on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, proudly representing the residents of South Florida since 1985, and proud supporter of Inter Miami on ESPN West Palm. Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath has attorneys across South Florida ready to fight for your rights. They've recovered billions for their clients, and you won't pay anything unless you win your case. If you have been injured, call the attorneys at Lytle, Ryder, Smith, Ivy, and Fronrath, 561-867-4117, or online at foryourrights.com. Main office in West Palm Beach.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Hi, I'm Michael Manzo, owner and founder of Manzo's Italian Deli, and
Stop, Dad. After 20 years, people are tired of hearing your voice.
Yeah, and your lame-ass commercials.
Fresh prosciutto, mozzarella, outstanding.
Oh, please.
There's only one reason Manzo's is voted #1 deli in Palm Beach County for 20 years. Our mother.
She makes sure you prepare everything from scratch using only the freshest ingredients.
Manzo's Italian Deli is located on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, right next to Rain Dancers.
Is that a strip club?
No, it's a steakhouse. Manzo's is open weekdays from 8 to 5 and offers free delivery. So stop by or call 697-9411. That's 697-9411.
we also specialize in hot and cold catering for corporate functions and special events.
Just ask anyone who was at my last birthday party.
ESPN 106.3 is your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Home of the Miami Heat, now the new home of Inter Miami. Catch all the games and the biggest matchups throughout the week right here on ESPN 106.3. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sportsbook. Try Hard Rock Bet now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida the wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Yuengling Traditional Lager, a beer that, like true legends, stands the test of time. Brewed by the same family for nearly 200 years, it's a crisp amber lager with a bold, smooth flavor that's perfect for game day. Whether you're cheering from the stands or watching from your favorite bar, Yuengling is the taste of tradition. Yuengling, legends stand the test of time.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Well, if you were lucky enough to take the Pacers on, the money line with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go, I don't even know the odds off the top of my head, but Lord knows you'd be a very rich man if you were able to do that. On Hard Rock Bet, go download the app today in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Go to hardrock.bet online to get started today. Hard Rock's the best because it caters to both types of players. It caters to the player that is brand new and trying to acclimate, understand, learn the new space, or the experienced player that wants to put together complicated parlays, wants to utilize promo boost, profit boost, parlays, you name it, they got it. Hard Rock Bet has it all. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida the wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT. Well, now that all eyes point to how the Knicks are going to respond to this, because we'll see if people want to say Tom Thibodeau is a great coach. We'll see, because now entering Game 2, which is, I believe, going to be on Friday, if the Knicks don't show up, Game 2 in their building, this is the type of loss, that's the type of game that gets people fired. Game 2 is on Friday, 8 p.m. in MSG. Indiana leading the series 1-0. Do you expect the Knicks to play with a little bit of guts coming into Game 2? Or now, one thing I'll add as context before you do this is Indiana, they knocked the Bucks around in Game 1 after some people liked the Bucks in that series, and then in Game 2 they did the same thing. In Game 1 against Cleveland, they knocked them around, surprised them, and then all of a sudden, Game 2, when Cleveland plays really well, the Pacers rumble back in the last minute to steal that game and win 2-0 in that series as well. Do you expect something different to happen here with the Knicks?
Is it possible to lose a series on Game 1? Because that's what we're talking about here. You're not just talking about, do you expect the Pacers to steal both games on the road?
Is it as demoralizing to lose them the series? Are we there?
If they lose Game 2,
I'm
throwing the towel in. So that's what
100%.
we're saying right now. Is the series over? Which is insane to ask. I think the Knicks will show some fight, and I think we'll have a game decided in the final 2 possessions. That's what I think is going to happen. And maybe it's...
So this is in the realm of possibility for you, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're going to see a big shot from one of Naismith, Brunson, Towns, or Halliburton.
You know, the crazy part is, if I'm the Knicks, I want to stay far, far away from I want to stay far away from the Pacers, period. But I want to stay far, far away from a close game where a big shot is going to need to be made. Because the Knicks are clutch, and that was what we said about Boston when they played the Knicks. The Knicks are closers. They have better closers. Brunson's a great closer. The Pacers have much better closers than the Knicks, at least to this point. What are we supposed to believe differently? I would want to stay away from a close game. You got to win big.
Did your Little League baseball community have all-stars?
Yes.
Where you play your Little League and, wow, he's the best player on his team, and then you put him on the all-stars and you start playing people from outside your area. It's like, wait a second.
AAU that's AAU basketball. When you walk into a tournament and it's 8 in the morning and there's a 13-year-old that is doing windmills. You're like, oh.
Okay.
There's levels to this.
Levels to closing, where the Knicks had their fun. Capitalized on an injured Tatum towards the end of that season. Had a couple of surprise wins early. But the Pacers, they might be about it.
As good of a closing team as we have seen, and you can't say this is fluky because it's not. It doesn't happen 3 times if it's fluky. This is a team that is riddled with mojo and magic. You said that you were sold on the Knicks to get to the finals. I want to see Indiana OKC. And it's not just because of off last night. I thought the Pacers were going to win regardless. But now, after what I saw last night, I want to see Indiana and OKC.
Is it because you think Indiana has the best shot against OKC?
I think they have a better shot. I also think Indiana vying for a title amongst two franchises who have never won one would be very interesting. That'd be a fun, awesome story. For, what are they, a 4 seed? For a 4 seed to win a title in that sense? Love that. That's good for the league.
I am kind of getting sick and tired of the needs the big brands, needs it. The conversation, right? Oh, they need New York there.
Yeah, I think the casual public got opened up to Indiana last night.
Sure.
People, they might draw a better rating. People might care a little bit more about Indiana because of that game. Because of that game last night.
Better than it would have before that game. Not better than
if they won this game straight up in 6 games and they never had a game like that, then all of a sudden Indiana and OKC would be the first finals ever on NBA TV. But now that the Indiana Pacers had a game like that where it was just dramatic, I wonder what the rating will be. But it was dramatic. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's heard about it. Everybody's seen the ending. It opens up the public eye a little bit to what they can do. And more importantly, if you're anti-Knicks, all of a sudden you're rooting for Indiana because of that. So,
yeah. And you know what? It's not too foreign of a brand. Like there's a reason why it was a callback to Reggie Miller. We kind of remember
the Midwest. They got all the Midwest there. There's a bit of a rivalry attached. There's a sense of history. There is a small sense of history. They got young stars that you haven't really seen before. I love it. This is what I'm officially rooting for. I don't know if Minnesota can do it, so I'm not going to say Minnesota, but OKC, Indiana, and everybody will be rooting for Indiana in that series.
You know who Indiana and the culture around it and their fan base reminds me of? I think of the St. Louis Cardinals with less winning. Because they're a Midwest team, and they love their team. They're known as the best fans in baseball. We see them in Jupiter every single year. People retire down here because they're Cardinals fans because they want to watch spring training.
That's what it is. It's Cardinal Town, yeah.
And I think Indiana has a culture about it with basketball that will wrap their arms around a successful Pacers team.
You think about it, yeah. They got Bloomington right down the street, and that's where IU is, and it's known as the basketball state. I mean, Larry Bird, hello? That is the basketball. Hoosiers. Where does that take place? It's the underrated basketball state. They got Caitlin Clark sitting there. She draws.
That was going to be a part of the conversation I was going to have too, because Jimmy Fallon had fun with it and made fun of the fact that when these games are being played in New York at Madison Square Garden, that the stars are out. There's Chalamet. There's Ben Stiller.
Right.
There's the New York fans. And then when the game flips, not after next game, but the one after next game, when it's in Indiana and there's no stars, they're going to have Pat McAfee on the Jumbotron more times than you can count.
And maybe Caitlin Clark at the schedules lineup. That's it.
Peyton Manning, can you please fly out?
Can we get some fans in the building? Can we get somebody? Daniel Jones gets shown on the big screen? Are everybody going to erupt? No. Michael Pittman? No.
Who are some other famous Indianians?
Bird would be awesome.
He's still alive, right?
Larry Bird? Yeah, he's still alive.
Right, just double checking.
Yeah, and he ran the Pacers forever.
Okay.
So that would make he would be there. He would be there.
I feel like the most famous people from Indiana are politicians. That was the joke that was made in Jimmy Fallon, and it kind of made sense to me.
What politicians from Indiana?
Like not famous politicians.
Oh, but just generally politicians.
Yeah, in terms of Q rating, people that are recognized by name
That's
value.
what Midwest is. Midwest is for the politicians. And then unless you're in Chicago, if you're Wisconsin, you are a drinker or you're a politician. That's what it is.
Dang. Michael Jackson's from Indiana. That would have been big. That would have been Indiana Chalamet. If Michael Jackson was still with us and was sitting courtside.
When did Michael Jackson die? 20 years ago?
I'm just saying, missed opportunity here.
Missed opportunity? Should the Jackson family the Jackson estate show up?
I'm not going to put my nose up at it, but among the reasons why it's very sad that Michael Jackson passed away a long, long time ago, one of them is it could add some juice to the Pacers-Knicks series.
Did he ever show up to a Pacers game in the 90s? I don't think he did. It's like expecting Elvis to show up to a Grizzlies game.
Okay, but I'm not getting out of bed to see David Letterman sit courtside.
Letterman is out there. That's a good point. Letterman is out there.
I'm cheating. I'm Googling this. Pam from The Office. Jenna Fisher. That's who you're going to match up against. SNL cast.
Ben Stiller, Timothy Chalamet, Spike Lee.
Against John Mellencamp.
That's why it's great.
And Tony Stewart.
Indiana almost represents America. And then the Hollywood, the stargazing that LA once was, New York has that.
Hey, Adam Driver, okay.
Indiana it's like a little bit more of the common folk. It's the Americans.
Mick Foley went through a hell in a cell, for God's sake.
Is he going to be there?
I'm not going to rule it out. I think Mick Foley will show up.
You're going to see Bird and you're going to see McAfee. That's who you'll see. That's it. Maybe Caitlin Clark if the schedule's aligned for a game. That is it. If she's home, then you'll see her too.
Pat McAfee, odds for him to show up to a Pacers home game in this series is at minus 10,000. They're going to take it off the board.
And he had a lot of issues with the Colts too. So I think he likes the Pacers right now, but I know he has issues with the Colts, with how they're run and the whole thing. I know that's probably bad timing with Jim Irsay passing away. But, I mean, that was McAfee's relationship with the Colts at the end of his, or at the last year, I should say.
I mean, he mentioned it, kind of eerie. Irsay's last tweet, rooting on the Pacers.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was in his sleep, too. Oh, so unfortunate. 65, too. I was under the impression he was older, and he passed at 65. Gosh, terrible situation. I mean, now Indiana, little mojo now. You got to do it for Jim. That guy was Mr. Indianapolis for a long time. And the last thing he did was root them on. That's just more and more mojo. That's just more and more momentum. I think Indiana's going to be a really tough out, and I think they're the only ones. I don't think the Knicks would beat the Thunder in 7. I don't think they even beat the T-Wolves in 7. But the Pacers might, because the Pacers got something going on that needs to be diagnosed. They need something. It's very bizarre.
Stephen A. Smith, and I apologize for not playing the audio for you, but earlier today he said Tyrese Halliburton, he's not a superstar, he's a star. Just because you make big shots in big situations does not make you a superstar. Do you agree with that? I feel like
what's funny?
Some point it's got to give.
The ESPN has no sense of reality because look at the rating of what OKC and Minnesota did with two young budding stars that everybody claims are the next big things in the NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, who's that big American star that the NBA needs, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is the reigning MVP. And the game did $5 million. There were games that did $5 million in the first round with Houston and the Warriors. And they did $5 million in the Western Conference Final. That goes to show how much the general American public, and more so how much of ESPN, the TV side at least, I know we're technically ESPN West Palm, but how much of the TV side that they have a finger on the pulse of what the NBA fan cares about. It doesn't seem like they resonate. It doesn't seem like that gets people, Christian said it gets people out of bed. Anthony Edwards does not do that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does not do that. We'll see what the Indiana series does because big moments create big players. And Tyrese Halliburton has had a career's worth of big moments in one postseason alone.
Did you watch the compilation of all of his shots to tie or take the lead with under 2 minutes this
season? And there's like 15 of them.
I had to double check on that because you said the stat earlier, 12 for 14.
Because he had 2 last night in the OT and he missed 1 last night. He had the miss on the 3 that Obi Toppin had to put back on.
It's like an electromagnetic anomaly. This doesn't make sense. Something's off here. This is not real.
You're shooting 90% on shots to take to the lead or to tie it up in the final minute of fourth quarter and overtime in the postseason.
That's not real. It is.
And this guy, who is Stephen A. to determine who's a superstar and who's not? You know who the superstar is? The one who draws. Anthony Edwards has not been drawing. Gilgeous-Alexander does not draw. Even Jokic draws, and he doesn't even care. Doncic draws. Jalen Brunson draws. If people tune in to watch them, that's when they actually can be labeled as a superstar. Halliburton is not the sexy superstar because he's not a score-first player. And we're not even, Aaron Nesmith is the superstar here. Yeah. We're not even giving him enough credit. It was and this is not the Knicks, handing the ball over every 5 seconds. This is Aaron Nesmith hitting improbable three after improbable three throughout the fourth quarter. As bizarre of a game, he hits a 3-point shot with 4:45 to go to make it a 12-point game. Then all of a sudden, he hits another 3-point shot to make it an 11-point game with 3:14 to go. Then he hits another 3-point shot with 2 minutes to go to make it an 8-point game again. They're not even kicking in on the lead here. Then he makes one with 51 seconds to make it a 6-point game. And then he hits another one with 34 seconds to make it a 5-point game. And then he hits another one with 22 seconds to make it a 2-point game. That is all Aaron Nesmith right there. That guy is a superstar.
He invented basketball.
That's it. That is as bizarre. Was basketball invented in Indiana? I believe it was.
That would make sense. That would connect the dots. Naismith is the guy. Eerily close to Nesmith.
Right. Well, wow.
You didn't hear that joke yet?
No, I didn't register what you were talking about. No, it was invented. It was Springfield, Massachusetts. That's where the Basketball Hall of Fame is. Yeah, I should have known that. Springfield, Massachusetts, where the Hall of Fame. But yeah, Indiana's got a basketball sense of it. And I think people start getting to wake up to just how improbable it was of what we watched last night. It was in the vein of the Packers blowing that game to the Seahawks in the 2014 NFC Championship game. It was in the vein of Spieth at the Masters. It was in the vein of all these great chokes. University of Northern Iowa, if you want to talk about basketball, in the second round of the NCAA tournament 2016 to Texas A&M, they were up 12 with 44 seconds to go. They lost the game. Games like that, that's what that Knick get lost was last night. And now the biggest question remaining is, are the Knicks going to show any guts here? Because I think the Pacers are going to really come after them because they did it in the other two series.
Yeah, blood in the water.
They don't want to give them a breathing room because they know they got a ton of momentum. They're going to come right at them. I don't know if they might go cold, they might go hot, but the Pacers, they're the top team in pace. They're the top team in assists. They're the lowest team in turnovers. They're the top team in shooting percentage. Give them their respect. Give them their respect. I'm very, very intrigued with that game 2. That game 2 will be the most anticipated game other than game 6 with Knicks Celtics. That would be the most anticipated game we've had so far this postseason.
The noise and the sound that crowd made when Tyrese Halliburton's 2-pointer, we found out, to what they thought win the game, ended up being too tied of the game and go to overtime. Shock, awe, not really believing what they just saw. That crowd is going to be on pins and needles, and I think an early Indiana Pacers run can take them out of it.
And that's it. And that's exactly what they were doing in game. The thing is, the Knicks played very, very well in the first quarter last night, but the Pacers, they hit every shot. I think 9 of 9 or 10 for 10. One of the two they started. And the Knicks were able to keep pace because they were scoring. They were hitting threes. So if they're able to do that again, but they haven't done it all postseason, the Knicks have not been able to score consistently all postseason. They've been able to defend consistently. They've been able to rebound and be tough consistently. They have not been able to score consistently. And that's even in some wins against the Celtics, and that's even in some wins against the Pistons. They have not been able to put it together, string it together, and I don't anticipate that's going to change all of a sudden. Who has? The Pacers. The Pacers have been able to score consistently. They've been dangerous, especially in late game situations, consistently.
Do the Pacers have to win the series in order for last night to matter in the grand scheme of things? Because the Reggie Miller game didn't.
But we still think of it as a famous moment, so no. I think it's because of the Knicks, it's such a big... If it wasn't the Knicks, we'd probably forget about it. But the Knicks in MSG, and John Stark saying that it was such a hard home court. You're right, because every team plays harder in MSG comparatively to their own building. The Knicks don't necessarily need to get motivated to play at Indiana. It's not like a huge game you get the nerves out. Playing at MSG has that effect. Playing in downtown New York City has that effect. Every team brings their A game. It's a very tough home court to play in. Because it's bigger for the other team than it is for the Knicks almost. It is bigger for the Indianas of the world to come in game 1 to beat them than it is for the Knicks to defend their home court. That is almost dangerous. That is dangerous. Do they have to win the series for it to matter? They have to win the series for it to be legendary. I don't think they have to win the series for it to matter in terms of one of the great games, postseason playoff endings that we've seen in quite some time.
So you said your ears perked up and you thought this might actually happen at some point under a minute ago. I was right around there. One of the Naismith threes made me pause the episode of Lost that I was watching with my girlfriend with the Knicks-Pacers game on the second TV muted, where I have split attention here. It's an anti-basketball household. She's not a big fan of the NBA or college basketball. Once her bracket gets busted, she can't win the pool. So I got to really scratch and claw to get basketball on the TV, and it made me take that calculated risk saying, listen, you got to understand here. When it got to a 6-point game, 121 to 115, something special might happen.
Right. This is a moment.
Pause lost.
This is a moment.
Unmute Knicks Pacers.
Yes, we need to hear the broadcast. I'm sorry. I will apologize after, but you need to see this.
The noise I emitted when that 2-pointer dropped from Halliburton. Oh, I couldn't. And then the camera cut to him doing the choke symbol.
Do you like that, by the way?
Oh, I loved it.
I love that too.
I thought it was knowing the moment. That was awesome.
Everybody in the building thought that was a 3. So we're going to fault him because his foot was on the line. His toe was on the line. Let the guy do it. If there is not a bigger moment to do it, when is it?
Right.
When is it?
His other celebration was the
cojones.
Exactly. He did that on another fantastic moment where you miss the free throw, get your own rebound, hit the 3-pointer. It's a spectacular occurrence that doesn't happen very often.
Now for him, maybe he's got to stop doing it because this happens too often. But for Halliburton, when is it appropriate to use the choke symbol? If it's not appropriate for a 14-point lead with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go,
do you got to wait?
And a 9-point game with under a minute. If that is not appropriate to do the choke sign, I don't care if he hasn't won anything. I don't think Mike Rizzo would be on the other side of this because Mike Rizzo's big. You have to win something in order to start doing things like that. He's allowed to do that. No problem. And if he was wrong, that's where you got to back it up. And they did. And he played well in OT. He had big shots in OT, had big moments in OT.
Ooh, when he levitated under the rim and just muscled the ball over the rim.
He had a drive to the basket. He had Andrew Nemert on a back door to get a layup, too. He had the 3-pointer to Nemert, too, that assist. And fun fact, somebody on Hard Rock Bet, I just saw right now, did place a live bet for the Pacers to win. I don't know what point of the game this was. This was late in the fourth. It was plus 2,250.
22.5 to 1.
They bet $25 to win $587 on a live bet in the fourth quarter for the Pacers, and they were probably just like us. Don't count out the Pacers. Don't count out the Pacers because they are dangerous. That's Christian Cat, Colin Russo. It is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106. We will flip to some NFL side of things because we got the executive vice president, the former executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins and the former general manager of the New York Jets and the current ESPN NFL insider joining us next is Mike Tannenbaum. Looking forward to speaking to him. Stick around for it. We got Russo and Rizzo coming right back after this on ESPN 106.3.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WESP Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
It's the perfect day. You're just driving along, listening to your favorite music, the windows down. There's a cool breeze. Life is good. But wait, hold on a second. You're not wearing a seatbelt? You'd better put that on before that... Uh-oh, too late. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement, so you'd better buckle up or you will get caught. Sorry to ruin your day. Click it or ticket.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation. Banyan Printing. For 47 years, the trusted partner for all your printing, mailing, and signage needs. And 2025 just brought something big to Banyan. Introducing Banyan's new press. Bigger, faster, and more competitively priced than anything you'll find anywhere in the Palm Beaches. Think variable data postcards, bulk mailings, and high-quality print on stocks up to a 24-point board. Banyan Printing. Visit banyanonline.com and discover how your business's printing materials can get bigger and better.
He lives in a pineapple under the sea. And he's back at Lone Depot Park. Marlins SpongeBob Day returns Sunday, June 1st as the Marlins take on the Giants. Last year's SpongeBob jersey broke the internet. This year, it's Patrick's turn. Add on the all-new Patrick jersey to your game ticket and complete the collection. Be there or be a barnacle. Grab your tickets now at marlins.com/SpongeBob.
Don't let the rising temperatures catch you off guard. Hey, it's Colin Russo, and since 1960, John C. Cassidy Air Conditioning and Plumbing has proudly served Palm Beach County, keeping homes cool and comfortable. Now's the time to upgrade your AC with great financing options. Plus, ask about the Cassidy Care Club, providing year-round peace of mind. Cassidy is part of our local community and supports organizations like the YMCA and the Palm Beach Gardens Youth Athletic Association. Keep cool with Cassidy Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Find out more at CassidyAC.com.
Ready to take on any terrain? The all-new 2025 Defender 110 P300S is here. Built for those who crave adventure without compromising on luxury. Lease the powerful 2025 Defender 110 P300S for just $889 per month for 36 months. Whether you're tackling the toughest roads or cruising the city, the Defender is ready for it all. Don't wait. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and experience the Defender like never before. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Improve your golf game fast at the all-new Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center has the facilities, tools, and coaching you need. Enjoy the best facilities in the area with an expansive chipping and putting area, practice bunkers, a huge putting green, plus a 2,000 square foot indoor training area with 3 hitting bays, cutting-edge analysis technology, and more. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center in the heart of Palm Beach County off I-95 and the Turnpike. Find out more at KaiserGolfCenter.com.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer. Our policy is to provide equal opportunity employment, development, and advancement to all current and potential teammates. If you are an organization that wants to learn more about careers with Good Karma Brands, please email careers@goodkarmabrands.com.
Hi, it's Evan Cohen from Unsportsmanlike. Tonight, the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Final continues with Game 2. It's the Panthers and the Hurricanes. Coverage begins at 7:30 here on your home for the Stanley Cup Playoffs, ESPN 106.3.
Introducing DQ Grill and Chill's new sauced and tossed buffalo chicken strips. A basket of 100% all white meat seasoned chicken strips now being served with blue cheese or ranch dressing dips. The blizzard of the month is s'mores and mixing bowl mashup. Fresh cookie dough bites and brownie batter for a unique sweet treat. Don't forget a DQ Grill and Chill cake this season. Stop in and pick one up or get a custom order. DQ Grill and Chill with 2 locations, 4828 Lake Worth Road and US 1 just south of North Lake.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan!
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Did you miss Theoretically Speaking?
Florida State 2 years ago with Jordan Travis. It's closer to a national championship than Miami.
I guess they have a point for being unhappy of even though they won every single game their season. Maybe they've got a point.
If you're a guy that spent your whole summer training, 2 days, and the opportunity to be able to at least compete for a championship gets taken away because just one guy got injured, that's looking at that left tackle or that running back or that wide receiver and spitting in their face.
It's Theoretically Speaking, weekdays at 2, here on ESPN 106.3.
Get ready to elevate your driving experience with the all-new 2025 Range Rover Velar P250 Dynamic SE. A stunning blend of luxury performance and technology that will make every drive unforgettable. Right now, you can lease the new Velar for just $809 per month for 36 months. Yes, only $809 a month for a luxury SUV that sets new standards on the road. Visit Land Rover Palm Beach today and take advantage of this incredible offer. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Second hour, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3 with Colin Russo, Christian Cat. We're streaming live on YouTube at ESPN West Palm and Facebook and Twitter/X. If you missed any of the program today, go listen back to Russo and Rizzo, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, all those great places. Got a fun next hour ahead, and we want to start with the friend of the program. He's the former Jets general manager. He's the former executive vice president of football operations for the Miami Dolphins. He's the current ESPN NFL insider. It is Mike Tannenbaum joining the program. Mike, welcome in. How are you? How you doing?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Wonderful. We just saw a collapse of epic proportions last night with the Knicks. Did you happen to catch this game, Mike? Because I was thinking about terrible collapses on the NFL, NBA, college, the whole thing, and I think that's one of the worst ones I think I've ever seen.
I thought, Stu Van Gundy made a really interesting point, guys. The Pacers scored 20 points in like 3 minutes, and I don't know. I feel like they won the game. Did the Knicks play great? No, but when you score 20 points in 3 minutes, I think we got to give credit to the Pacers.
I completely agree. So I would agree with you on the front. We were saying this earlier. The Pacers took that game. Now, the Knicks didn't necessarily do everything they needed to in order to prevent that, but the Pacers, you don't score that much output that quickly with that type of heroics. This is the third time this has happened this postseason with them coming back in some heroic fashion. I got to give them at least more of the credit, but the fact that it happened in MSG, the fact that it happened to the Knicks coming off the biggest win they've had in that franchise's history in quite some time, it's almost bittersweet for the New York fan. And now I have serious doubts on whether they'll be able to come back in this series. What are your takeaway?
Well, look, it went to overtime. Overtime games mean either side can win it. They're not necessarily the most talented team, but boy, they are tough. They are gritty. Look, if the Pacers shoot like the way they did,
it's gonna be hard to beat them.
It'll be really hard to beat. Yeah, but that was like historically good shooting. So still think this game could go 7 games, but now New York's gonna have to at least win one on the road.
Now, Mike, I want to jump into some NFL topics, of course, because there's a lot to touch on. And I want to touch on the thing that's most topical right now, and that's the college football playoff seeding, which just came out just about an hour ago. It was announced that the college football playoff is starting this fall, changing up the seeding. We knew we had a problem with this. We've talked to a lot of people who said they also have a problem with this. It is no longer going to be the 4 highest-rated conference champions that are going to get the top 4 seeds, a.k.a. the bye. It is going to be the top 4 overall rankings amongst the college football committee that is going to get the top 4 seeds. Your reaction to this news, what's your takeaway?
I like it. I think what it's saying is like regular season matters, strength of schedule matters. I think that's good for the sport, right? We're fans when we cover it. So I think the more we could see competitive games early on, and the committee hopefully is going to reward, presumably, for harder schedules. I think that's a good thing for the sport.
Do you think the committee's ever going to run into an issue again? Because now we're handing more power back to the committee. In the 4-team format, it was all, we're just at the mercy of the committee favoring the SEC and the Big Ten, and then all of a sudden you go to 12 and you give the automatic buys. Now you're still getting into it. This is just about seeding, but do you think you're giving a little bit more power back to the committee so they could favor either one, I guess, conference or another?
Yeah, I guess so. But again, like I think we want to see the best teams, right? So if that's 3 from the SEC in a given year or 3 from the Big Ten, that's okay. I think we just want to see good on good at the end of the day.
And the Brock Purdy contract is also something that took my eye a little earlier this week. We were back and forth on whether it was going to happen soon. Nobody really knew of the timeline of it all. But it sounds like people, or at least other teams, according to Adam Schefter at least, were not terribly interested in giving him the number he wanted if he looked outward. So he found inward, and he had the number in mind, but they ended up settling around $50 million a year. I think this is going to be a bargain by the end of the day. What's your take here?
Yeah, look, you can't win without one. Ask Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and the Giants. We talked about them all off season. So I think pretty solid. He may not be elite, but if you don't have one, you have no chance.
And the way I look at it, too, is with a great team, and that's what every quarterback needs. There's not a quarterback in the league that could succeed and win with a bad team around him. With a great team, he could get you to the finish line. And I think that's all you're really looking for, and that alone, I think, warrants the price.
Yep, I agree. And again, if you don't have one, and you're the 49ers, where are you going?
Mike, NFL seeding, the Lions withdrew that. We talked about the college football playoff. That was good for that. What about the NFL side of things? I know they withdrew it. It never ended up going to a vote. And I'm curious, was this something that you were on board with, that you think is, you've been in the league, you've been in these front offices, you've seen these schedules, would the NFL have benefited off of something similar?
Yeah, I do. I think the best 7 teams should be in the playoffs. I don't think a division winner should be a home team, let alone guaranteed to be in at all. Let's see good against good. Look at the NFC North. You're telling me that those top 2 or 3 teams don't deserve a home game? So I think eventually TV will dictate that, because fans are going to want to see, the best teams against one another.
Well, what about in favor of the divisions? You play these teams 6 times in a year. Do you think that you're sort of giving less of a value to those specific games, the fact that you play them twice?
No, because every game matters. That's what makes the NFL. Every game matters. So I'm okay with that. But I'm just saying, if you're a division winner at 7-10, you should sit out. I just think we're in a sport that's so competitive. It's a meritocracy, and the best should play against the best.
Mike Tannenbaum, the ESPN NFL insider, joining Russo and Rizzo now on ESPN 106.3. You say that the NFL should be best up against the best. I tend to agree. On paper, that makes a lot of sense. The one thing it would be with the schedule and the divisions, I guess you're sort of making teams make a decision, because now every team's under the impression that the divisional games mean more. There's a reason that they're in Week 18 or Week 1 or specific weeks. But now you're hoping that maybe if it ever were to come back, they would maybe consider reseeding it. What about the tush push? That actually did not pass. We're going to see more tush push from the Eagles, but it went to a vote. Was that something that you'd be in favor of? Let's say you were in a front office. Would you be in favor of that?
Yeah, look, I think it's very similar to what we just talked about. The Philadelphia Eagles are executing play at a great level. Why are we penalizing them? The rules are the rules. And, every series starts off 1st and 9 for them, but they've earned it. So to me, stop the play or get creative. These are the best coaches on the planet. They're the strategists. Maybe, we'll see a defensive lineman under center. And that's fun. That's creative. That's football. So to me, we know what the rules are. Go put the best product out there you can.
And Mike, one thing with the schedule release was about a week and a half ago. And I'm sure you've already taken a look at a lot of the schedules, but there's one schedule specifically I want to talk about at the beginning for you. Basically, front to back, it's bad. We knew it'd be bad because of the opponents, but in terms of a start, I don't know if you could get worse than this. The Giants start the year at the Commanders, at the Cowboys, home against the Chiefs, home against the Chargers, then they get at the Saints, but then they have the Eagles, at Broncos, at Eagles. That's how they start their season. That's not even considering the 49ers. That type of start to the schedule, I'm curious on your perspective, because you've been in these positions where front offices, they need to perform, and the coaching staffs, they need to perform. This is a very peculiar situation because Dable, number one, is on a short leash, and we know that Joe Shane is on a short leash, but almost I feel like if you're going to look at this objectively, you can't necessarily blame them if they start 0-3 against the Commanders, Cowboys, and Chiefs with 2 on the road. What do you think is the line here with this Giant schedule for, I guess, job security at this point?
Look, you got to show a better product than last year. Jackson Dart figures to play at some point for Russell Wilson. And not all 7-10 records are the same. You know, we were just on ESPN talking about Dan Campbell. You know, Dan Campbell was 3-13-1 after year one, but I don't think there was anybody that had any doubt whatsoever that that team was poised to go in the right direction. So, you know, not all records are the same. And, you know, look, if Dart plays well, that probably changes the whole conversation about the team.
Do you play Dart early if you're in that position?
If he's ready, yeah.
And
what are we waiting for?
I guess. I don't want to throw him to the wolves, but I understand your perspective. You've been there and I haven't. Now, one last question here before we let you go, Mike. We were on the sense of collapses. Is there a collapse that comes to mind to you when you were involved with some of these teams that sort of still stings in terms of how did we let that slip away? How the hell did it get to that point? How did that happen? Was there one that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, you know, a number of years ago, winning at halftime, AFC Championship game against the Broncos when I was with the Jets. Earlier that day, Atlanta had upset Minnesota to get to the Super Bowl with Dan Reeves. And I was like, gosh, this is all lining up well. We played really well in the first half, had a couple of turnovers in the second half. And I say to myself to this day, if we held on that second half, I think we win the Super Bowl.
Wow. How about that? Mike, we appreciate you giving us the time, as always. Appreciate you giving us a little insight. We're looking forward to speaking again soon, all right?
All right, thanks so much, guys.
You got it. You got it. That's Mike Tannenbaum, of course, the ESPN NFL insider, the former GM of the Jets, and the former executive vice president of football operations for the Dolphins. Colin Russo, Christian, Cat Russo, and Rizzo will do a little 5 at 5. On the flip side, stick around for it right here, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 106.3 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
We're out here ranking backup left tackles. We've got spreadsheets and strong opinions. Anyone can talk quarterbacks. We're talking about the guy who might block for him in Week 17. Why? Because someone has to care. And that someone is us. This is what we do. We are ESPN 106.3.
The school district of Palm Beach County is your best choice.
It's time to step into kindergarten. Parents, the school district of Palm Beach County is now enrolling kindergarten students. All incoming students receive a free kindergarten readiness kit to help practice reading and math this summer. Register now at palmbeachschools.org/kindergarten. That's palmbeachschools.org/kindergarten.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
Introducing DQ Grill & Chill's new sauced and tossed buffalo chicken strips. A basket of 100% all-white meat seasoned chicken strips now being served with blue cheese or ranch dressing dips. The blizzard of the month is s'mores and mixing bowl mashup. Fresh cookie dough bites and brownie batter for a unique sweet treat. Don't forget a DQ Grill & Chill cake this season. Stop in and pick one up or get a custom order. DQ Grill & Chill with 2 locations, 4828 Lake Worth Road and US 1 just south of North Lake.
Every Thursday is a Thirsty Thursday at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. Membership is just $100, and all fans 21 and up get a ticket to every Thursday game and a drink koozie, which unlocks weekly drink specials. Learn more at RogerDeanChevroletStadium.com.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
A Thursday edition of Russo and Rizzo, May the 22nd, 2025. Colin Russo, Christian Cat, no Mike Rizzo today on ESPN 106.3. Time for us to bounce around a little bit as we enter into the second hour. It's time for us to do a little 5 at 5 presented by Flagler Credit Union.
5 topics.
High five.
5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get out of here.
Endless takes.
You can't handle the truth.
All gas, no brakes.
And it's shaking big time.
It's time for the 5 at 5.
Hold on to your butts.
Presented by Flagler Credit Union, proud supporter of FAU athletics. Earn up to $700 per year with boost checking from Flagler Credit Union. Number 1.
The Pacers pulled off the unthinkable last night, trailing by 9 with under a minute to go. You know how it went. Aaron Naismith unconscious from beyond the arc. Hit 5 of those in the final 2 minutes. 8 for 9 beyond the arc in the game. Tyrese Halliburton's game-tying buzzer beater from 2. Following the shot, Tyrese Halliburton hit the celly. He hit the choke celly, but he said he might actually regret it because it wasn't for the win.
Moment, I mean, I wasn't like plotting on it or anything. Everybody wanted me to do it like last year at some different point. But it's just gotta feel right. And it felt right at the time. If I would have known it was a 2, I would not have done it. So I think I might have wasted it. If I do it again, then I might be. People might say I'm like oral farming, so I'm not. I don't plan on using it again.
Yeah, people call out Jason Tatum for being a little bit disgenuine, copying everybody else's flow, robbing iconic moments from other people. You saw it with Kobe in the championship run last year. Do you get the feeling of a genuine superstar in Tyrese Halliburton, or is he putting on a show?
Because no, I don't think so. I don't think so. The guy's excited. He's animated. This is a guy who sat down on the end of that Olympic bench. You want to talk about him and versus Tatum? Tatum sat down on that bench, and he was the story of the offseason. Maybe because Tatum's a better player, but everybody was wondering, why isn't Jason Tatum playing? And he's sitting there pouting on the bench. And you got Tyrese Halliburton right next to him, who nobody even brought up. Nobody even brought up him because were not under the assumption that he should play. They kept his mouth shut. And he went and he got that Olympic gold medal. He barely contributed, and he now has his own team that he gets to kind of run wild with. And, yeah, good for him. If you come back from down 14 with 2 minutes, 30 seconds to go, and you have 2 major shots, including an improbable Kawhi Leonard-esque game winner that bounces off the back of the rim into the basket, and you think it's a game winner and everybody in the building also think it's a game winner, go celebrate. Be my guest. Do I think he's a star in the making? Yes. And they already got him on a max contract. That guy, why is he a star? Because you could rely on him. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's a great playmaker, and he's playmaking first. He's not scorer first. They had a great first quarter. He barely scored. It wasn't until the second quarter that they needed him to pick up a little bit of slack offensively. I love Tyrese Halliburton. I love the way he plays, and I have no problem with him going outward on celebrating because it doesn't feel disingenuous because he's backing it up with some outrageously fun plays.
You ready for the metaphor I'm going to make?
Okay.
Reggie Miller, his miraculous come from behind win and his choke taunt / celebration is equal to Tracy Chapman's fast car, whereas Tyrese Halliburton's miraculous 2-pointer for the tie somehow found it in the net. Comeback win for the Pacers is Luke Combs' fast car. They're both fantastic.
Okay.
You can honor the original while still put together a damn good display here in the present.
Joey Chestnut, that's something that came to mind. That's somebody who talks a lot of garbage, and he backs it up because he eats a lot of those hot dogs on July 4th.
That's not where I would have gone next, but sure. Sometimes people do things that are so undeniable that you just can't nitpick on how it could have been better.
Who is it, the bowler who said you could love me or hate me? You watched?
Pete Weber.
Pete Weber.
Who do you think you are? I am.
Yeah, who do you think you are? I am. You can hate me or love me, but you watched. What's cool with those guys, is it corny? Is it weird with basketball players? No. Because we've never seen that before, and I doubt we'll ever see it again. Go celebrate. Love Tyrese Halliburton. Number 2.
Number 2.
Well, following the Pacers-Knicks Game 1 spectacular showing, Charles Barkley was on NBA on TNT, Inside the NBA. He had this to say about what should happen after this game relating to Tyrese Halliburton.
It's time to let Mr. Halliburton back in the building.
Yes, it is.
Adam, I'm asking you, hey, my man paid his dues. He did something really, really stupid, but he's been punished. And I'm asking you and the Indiana Pacers to let Mr. Halliburton back in the building for Game 3 and 4. I mean, he paid his dues. It shouldn't be indefinite. He's been punished enough. He would never do anything that stupid again. So, Adam, you know how much I love you. And my man Kevin.
Of course, he's talking about Tyrese Halliburton's dad, who, following the Round 1 series win for the Pacers over the Bucks, took that opportunity to walk onto the court and talk and taunt Giannis Antetokounmpo with the Pacers flag in hand. Since then, Tyrese Halliburton's dad has been banned from Pacers games indefinitely, home or away. Chuck wants Mr. Halliburton back. What do you say to that?
Like, I don't understand why it's Barkley so into that. No.
He went on. There's like another half.
No, the guy should not be back. Why? Because his son is playing great? If anything, this is the punishment. He should. This was indefinitely. What, are you going to suspend him for 5 games? He got in an NBA superstar's face to finish off the series. He was threatening to fight him. You can't do that. He thought he had the protection of being a player's father because he's going to be doing the exact same thing. I don't care how good Tyrese is playing. That guy should not be allowed back. That was a disgrace. That was a disgrace. I'm not going to sit here and defend that guy.
Yeah, I don't understand how, like, good basketball being played by his son equates to, you know what, amnesty.
Yeah, what, if Tyrese stunk, will we keep him banned? If anything, it's more of a shot. The fact that he's playing great, the fact that it's insane, and the fact that we might get an NBA Finals run into the Indiana Pacers and this guy can't be there. That's why you don't get on the floor and get in Giannis Antetokounmpo's face. That's the real thing. What, you didn't do? It didn't happen? You didn't see the Cleveland Cavaliers Game 5? They played 2 games in Indiana that series. You didn't see it? No. Make him feel it for a big game. And listen, does it impact my day? No, it doesn't. But I highly disagree with the idea that any fan should come into any contact with an NBA player, especially on the court, especially somebody as likable as Giannis. And the funniest part is when, if you're going to go back to that moment, when Halliburton's dad got in Giannis's face, Giannis, you could see it in his eyes that he was contemplating tearing that guy apart.
Yeah, like,
what would the charge be if I went after this guy right now? That's what he was thinking. He was thinking, how long would I be suspended if I punched this guy in the face, right in his nose?
Like a cartoon high school bully. Could hang him from a flagpole by his underwear. That's what Giannis Antetokounmpo could have done to Halliburton's dad.
He was considering it. Number 3.
Number 3.
The Mets beat the Red Sox last night. Maybe some Knicks Mets fans can take solace in that, but there's always some sting with the sugar. Juan Soto was still the focus of conversation. It's been well reported how Mets hierarchy are concerned about Juan Soto's enthusiasm since joining the Mets. How did Juan Soto quiet the haters last night in the Mets win? Well, he finished 0 for 3 strikeouts. Had a sac fly, though. Soto did not swing the bat in his first 2 trips to the plate that resulted on striking out looking twice on a combined 7 pitches. Is it still too early to really judge this marriage between Soto and the Mets?
See, the problem is he left in free agency to take the biggest contract possible. If he stayed with the Yankees, yes, he'd still be compared to that, $700 million price tag every 5 seconds. But it's a little different when you leave a team who's offering you $700 million to go to a team that's offering you $700 and a little bit more $1 million. It's a tricky spot because he can't have a bad game. He can't have a bad series. He can't have a bad 4-week stretch. Aaron Judge had an awful April last year. Still won the MVP and the Triple Crown. He had an awful April. He was terrible for a month. Juan Soto was good for the beginning part of May. And then all of a sudden Yankee Stadium happened, and now maybe his confidence, his swing, when he's seeing balls and strikes is maybe in his head a little bit. But the problem is the amount he is getting Nobody asks those questions about Ohtani. Why? Because Ohtani is number one in about every statistical category consistently. Soto has to be that in order for people to shut up about the contract. He has to be the most efficient, the most consistent, and the most dangerous hitter in baseball all the time. That is Ohtani. That is Judge. That is why nobody brings up their contracts. Nobody brings up Freddie Freeman's contract because we know how great Freddie Freeman is. You're bringing that up with Soto because, number one, it's fresh, and number two, because he is not playing to the standard. He's not even playing the best in the lineup. Not even probably playing the best third in the lineup. You got to play good enough to shut people up about your contract. Now, does it bother him? I'm willing to bet it does. I
think there's something different about playing for the Mets versus playing with the Yankees. I think you get the same level of criticism being a Met as you are being a Yankee when you're not coming through. I don't think you get the same level of praise when you come through.
Maybe. Because the Mets are good, and there's only negatives surrounding that team. The Mets are really good, and they've had a great start to the season, and it's all about, is Juan Soto happy?
In the mainstream thing, there is a New York Met can't be considered the face of New York sports. It can happen for the Yankees. It did happen for the Yankees. Not just when they were winning championship after championship after championship, but before the Knicks got good again and before Brunson kind of represented well. And the Jets and Giants suck. We all know that.
Right.
Aaron Judge was the face of New York sports.
Yeah.
New York City sports.
They got the little brother. They got the ultimate little brother syndrome. You think the Jets do? No. Because the NFL, if a football team is great, a football team is great. But especially for baseball, go ahead.
Even when the Mets had that unbelievable rotation, I forget the nickname, but it was Matt Harvey, Syndergaard, DeGrom. Wheeler might have been there for the beginning. Maybe not. But even when they went to a World Series,
2015,
it was still when Derek Jeter was playing. Derek Jeter was still a bigger face of New York sports than that conglomeration.
The Mets need a dynasty to shut that up. They need the Yankees are always good too, so they need something to shut that up. But there will always be that little brother. Now, it was a big spiritual victory. Their World Series, their big win was signing Soto. But now, unfortunately, the Yankees look better off without him. They have allocated their resources for more players, and it's working out about the same comparatively to the Mets. But the Mets now have a $800 million man whose only chances to be worth that contract are 3 or 4 times a game. That is it. This is not like Ohtani, where he's going to hit the homers and you have aspirations that he'll probably pitch again, and he probably will. This is one guy who is not great in the field, who is okay in the base path, who is just a great bat, and you need to make him worth $800 million. Nobody says anything about Ohtani's contract anymore. It doesn't matter if it's deferred. Nobody says anything about Judge's contract because they know they're worth it. I think people are having doubts of whether he's worth it at the moment, but I don't think it's fair either to make those conclusions 45 games into the season.
And I will say, the Soto-less Yankees, the downside of that, it's only going to rear its ugly head like the ALCS in the World Series.
When you need him, yeah.
So we're going to have 170 games of no Soto on the Yankees, where the Yankees will be okay. But 7th inning,
when you need a
down
crucial
by
at
one,
bat, where we
like,
want Bellinger out there. We want Bellinger out there.
Exactly.
And you're going to be on the other side. If the Mets are in the divisional series and they're in a crucial game 5, and they got Soto at bat in the 9th, and he gets a base hit, all of a sudden all is forgiven. All is forgiven just like that.
Exactly. Or you have a runner on second base, 2 outs. Here comes Aaron Judge to the plate. Put him on. No one's protecting him. So, it's not just that you're losing the bat to Soto, you're losing protection, too.
Or worse, you throw to Judge and he doesn't get a hit. And you're like, boy, wouldn't it be nice to have an elite postseason hitter right now? Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, I can see that blowing up my face, too. That scenario you mentioned is just as likely to happen.
Just as likely these days, unfortunately. Let's move on.
Number 4.
Talk a little bit of football because, I don't know if you've heard this, but the Chicago Bears have a new coach. And that head coach, Ben Johnson, is embracing the opportunity to flip the script about the historical struggles at the quarterback positions. He said on Wednesday, according to ESPN's Courtney Cronin, I love it. I love the opportunity to come in and change the narrative. That's where great stories are written, so we're looking forward to writing a new chapter here. The 2025 Chicago Bears looking forward to the future. What are your percent chances that the quarterback position is earnestly figured out? And when I mean that, 4,000-yard passing season from Caleb Williams in 2025.
Yeah, I'm 80 to 85%. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe that's entirely too much confidence. There is too much going right in Chicago for this not to work. There's too much going right. They got too many weapons. They finally fixed, at least we think, their offensive line. They got the perfect head coach in there for Williams. They drafted pretty interestingly. They got a couple young players coming in. They got a decent defense. And they got a historic team. And Williams is good. Don't be fooled that he's bad. Mike Rizzo is his biggest component that he is bad for some reason. He is not bad. He is a good player. And he was winging it last year. Wait till he starts to figure it out. Mahomes said that at the beginning of his career. He was winging it. Figuring it out as you go. Wait till Caleb, and he will, starts breaking through on the mental side of being a quarterback. If all the reports are true about him, trying to be Brady and adopting Brady's lifestyle, I don't think that's replicable, number one. But number two, even if it partially works, he's going to be a pretty freaking good pro for a long time. That's my style. I haven't changed my thoughts on Williams in the slightest because of last year.
I'm kind of excited for the head coach. Like, I was the biggest hype man for the Bears going into last season, and I can already tell that July, Christian Cat is going to be right in the same spot.
Right. Back where we started.
Another
Back
glimmer
where we
of
started.
Hope. Oh, yeah.
Everybody's waiting on it. It's got to happen eventually. And you mentioned excitement about the coach. You believe in the coach. The one thing about the Lions that was undeniable is this team is incredible offensively. And that is all Johnson. This team is unbelievable offensively. And he's from the Dan Campbell tree. So what are we supposed to believe? He's cut from the Dan Campbell cloth, who is the ultimate leader in the NFL. And he's the most brilliant coordinator in the NFL. For it not to work, a lot would have to go wrong. And this is not an Andy Reid situation where you're taking Matt Nagy and you're not sure if he's the one actually with the brains behind the operation or not. You know that Ben Johnson's the brains behind the operation. Dan Campbell is not an offensive coach. You know that. So off of that, he's not the play caller. I think Ben Johnson's going to have a really good year. I think the Bears are going to show steps forward. I don't expect him to win 11 games, but I expect him to win, 9 games. I expect him to be in the thick of it, have a couple important games towards the end of the year, and I think that's all you can ask for.
And it's so boring to talk about, but that offensive line's got to be good.
It's got to be good. Eventually, you don't invest that much resources. They traded for 3 guys.
And so much of the success of the Lions' offense of last year, was the offensive line giving Jared Goff all that time and being able to have fun with it and really smoke and mirrors.
That doesn't live and die with Dan Campbell. You don't think that trickles down to Ben Johnson? That is going to be the utmost of importance. Number 5.
A new company hoping to infuse PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, into Olympic-style sports says it will host the first formal competition in 2026, a.k.a. the Enhanced Games, where athletes will be allowed, if not outright encouraged, to use steroids that are illegal to possess, or they were illegal to possess but banned in sports. What do you think about this?
Now, the one thing I'll say is this is basically the Tour de France when Armstrong was winning them, because everybody was roided up then. This is basically baseball in the early 2000s. If you're telling yourself that you wouldn't be interested in this, at least to a mild degree, you're lying. You are curious at the smallest degree to what the human body is capable of when anything is allowed. Is it healthy? Probably not. Is it fair? Probably not. But I think it is at the very least going to be interesting to watch. I will be intrigued with what type of specimens they have rolling out of the tunnel. Guys you've never heard of, guys who have never been professionals, but guys who are roided to the gills, just coming out trying to perform whatever task is asked of them.
It's going to be like watching baseball games in Colorado, or when Live Golf went to Mexico City, Bryson DeChambeau was driving the ball 420 yards carry. The air's thinner, so how real really is this? When you've got someone break Usain Bolt's record?
Just sit back and have some fun. Just sit back and have some. We're in an airplane hangar in Las Vegas. Let's just have some fun and let these roided up guys throw something around for a couple hours.
What's the best Olympic activity, sport? I'm blanking right here, so I'm asking for a life preserver that would be best enhanced by hardcore steroids.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to see if running improved that much traditionally, but I don't think the fastest in the world would ever be challenged by somebody roided up.
But it's also visually, it wouldn't... Listen, if you're a half second faster, that does not change my viewing experience at all. Like, if you're surrounded by people that are also a half second faster, it's the same thing.
That's a good point. Volleyball, would that be interesting when you get roided up guys spiking the ball and breaking people's noses when the volleyball hits them in the face? Weightlifting, of course, but I assume you've seen guys online who are, weightlifters who are roided to the gills as well.
Water polo.
Water polo would be violent.
A roid rage, someone drowns. Gotta get resuscitated.
Oh gosh, does roids help swimming? Probably not.
Yeah, it's got to.
Maybe throwing. Like, throwing and the field javelin. That's what I was thinking.
Javelin and like shot put.
Yeah, shot put and
discus.
javelin. That would be interesting.
Guy throws a discus like out of the park, damages some signage.
Yeah. Archery. No. They're hitting him from 400 yards out because they're breaking the bow and arrow.
They're like Mike Rizzo in the 3-point contest.
Right.
Instead of going to the line, he backs up 10 feet and says, no, I'm better from here.
What was it, the 3v3 in basketball? 3 roided up guys.
From what I understand, maybe steroids can help you train for these things more so than help you perform when it matters most.
Yeah, you have more strength, but you also have better recovery, the whole thing like that. It gives you, I don't know enough about roids, but it depends on what you have, but it grows your muscles faster, it recovers your muscles faster, it gives you more energy for it, the whole thing.
Think about the biggest impact of steroids in like sports that we care about was baseball. And baseball's not a muscle sport. It's a hand-eye coordination sport.
Right, but Bonds wasn't hitting 70 out the park until he started doing it. But yes.
But a lot of the sports in the Olympics aren't like muscle sports, but it can greatly change those games. Hand-eye coordination. I don't know what could be the difference. Is there cricket in the Olympics?
I don't think so. Maybe table tennis. Ooh. Table tennis would be a violent game.
The ball goes through the table.
Table tennis would be violent.
You know what would be cool to watch? Which I would never actually sign up to watch this normally, but when you get them on juice, rowing. Just cutting through the water.
Just zoom in on the guys' faces and see how angry they get.
Passing like the camera boats that are nearby.
Oh, gosh. 888-760-3776, the best sport. If this roid league, steroids allowed, PEDs allowed league, for Olympic style or sports generally is all good and it's going to happen. What's the best one to see with everybody roided up? Let us know. 888-760-3776. Colin Russo, Christian Cat, closing out the program next. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
What's the Anajar and Levine difference? If you're the victim of a car crash, you will always speak to a lawyer. You'll always get the highest standard of care from our dedicated legal team, and we'll always fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. That's the Anajar and Levine difference. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Don't wait. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
In office, West Palm Beach.
The playoffs are heating up, but your home shouldn't. Stay cool with EDS air conditioning. Right now, qualified customers can take advantage of 0% interest for 60 months on a brand new AC. Hot streaks belong in sports, not in your home. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, EDS is the name you can trust since 2006. Visit EDSIsYes.com today. Game day comfort starts now. Don't sweat the small stuff.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Want to accelerate your career as a manager or executive in the exciting industry of sports? Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program is ranked #1 in Florida and 10th in the world. Students learn practical and applied skills from top faculty and experts who work in the industry. With a 94% placement rate for all grads, the full-time MBA program sets students up for success in the world of sports. Check out Florida Atlantic University's MBA in Sport Management program today by going to business.fau.edu.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Close out the program here on a Thursday edition of the program. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Christian Cat, our producer today behind the glass. No Mike Rizzo today. We got one more day until we got another Knicks game, so that's the game I'm looking forward to. Do we even care about the Western Conference Finals anymore?
Is it tonight?
Yeah.
No.
We need a big game tonight. We need a big game. Okay, we need a big game. OKC, T-Wolves. You know what I don't like, too? This is the old man in me coming out. I don't like how late. I had the 30 minutes later, 8:30 p.m. start on ESPN. That makes a difference to me. I'm not a night owl. I like going to bed at least right as these games end. I go to bed. I immediately go to sleep. I do not like that 38 to 8:30 start makes a big deal, makes a big difference to me. And that Knicks game still went late. That still went to 11:20, but it was in the fourth quarter at like 10:40.
It's also they don't start, they don't tip off.
Oh, they don't start till 15 minutes after, at least 20 minutes after. I'll turn on the game. The funniest part is when I have the ESPN app. That's how I get, or the Max app, and that's how I get into watch these games. And I'll go to the sports tab at 8:31 or 8:01 if the game's at 8. And the stream is not even available to jump on because it hasn't even started the stream. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Football is so punctual. Sunday Night Football is not as punctual, but it's so punctual to start these games on time.
And baseball is honest. They say, listen, this is not a 1 o'clock first pitch. I'm not going to lie to you. We could easily say that.
This is a 107. This is a 108.
No one's asking them to do that.
I like that too.
I appreciate it.
I like that too, and they're usually pretty good about that within a couple of minutes. Usually within a couple of minutes. Basketball stinks at that. College basketball also stinks at that. College basketball tries to be like the MLB. You know, like when the NCAA tournament rolls around, this game's going to start at 4:18, and all of a sudden it's 4:53, and we're 3 games behind.
That's not their fault though. If a game goes to overtime or a lot of timeouts and fouls at the end of the game,
yeah. Or if the game, God forbid, the game is too quick, and then they got to add commercials to the media timeout to prolong it, which is what they do, which is ridiculous.
We should start doing these tournaments in AAU style where you've got 4 courts. So these games are going to start at those times no matter what, and you hear explosions of crowd reactions for other games on the broadcast of a game was like in the first quarter.
It's one camera just going all around it.
Whip around coverage? All right.
I don't know. All I'm saying is when this game starts tonight it's 8:48 and it's T-Wolves down by 16 at half, I'm going to have a hard time staying up for that fourth quarter. That's what I could say.
Already, OKC's going to win.
I have a loose amount of faith in T-Wolves. I have a loose amount of faith.
Thunder minus 8.5, so the wise guys in Vegas are telling you that it should be a Thunder 2-0
worse than last time, too.
Ugh. Give me an Ant Edwards game. Just do it, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see a good game. I have a lot of Timberwolves fans. I'm going to root for them. 8.5. I'll take the T-Wolves as well. That's Christian Cat. Colin Russo with you. Big thanks to Tina. Big thanks to Mike Tannenbaum. Big thanks to my father, Christopher Russo, for joining us over the last couple hours here on Theoretically Speaking and Russo and Rizzo. We'll be back at it tomorrow doing the same thing. 2 to 4, 4 to 6, right here. ESPN 106.3.
Introducing DQ Grill & Chill's new sauced and tossed buffalo chicken strips. A basket of 100% all white meat seasoned chicken strips now being